Today, we are in Paradise Valley, Arizona at a project that is going to truly blow your mind. No exaggeration, the home that you see behind me might be the most impressive build that I have ever laid eyes on. The project has been nicknamed Bars and Bridges by the architect, and once you see the house and learn a little bit more about its story, you'll understand where it got its name. What you're looking at is the skeleton of a 10,300 square foot compound that will feature board form concrete walls, massive spans of steel, and incredible mountain views. And today we're walking the site with the architect Amit to learn more about his inspiration, why he loves building with concrete and steel, and what some of his biggest challenges have been with this build so far.
This wall is going to be here for 200 years, I better think this through.
When I first met Amit, I knew he was different in a good way. I've never met an architect before who is so deeply in tune with his craft, with the land, and most interestingly to me, his relationship with the sun.
It exactly touches this wall on a particular time on the solstice day. I always say that the upper level is more extroverted and the lower level is all introverted.
Amit is incredibly sophisticated. He has an impressive resume that we'll dive into later in the video. And something that I really want to learn more about is how Amit lets the sun dictate the design of his homes.
Like this is human, and that's nature.
Yeah.
I don't try to do that. I like to be more inclusive.
If you're a fan of luxury real estate, if you're a fan of modern architecture, if you're a fan of poetry, or even if you're a fan of art, you're in for a treat with today's episode.
Hey Scott, welcome to my site again. What we're looking at here is basically the garage. So as you go down, that's the garage component. And then as you cross the wash, those beams you're looking at, that's the living room down there. And then on the other side, which is the west side, is going to be all the bedroom wing.
Okay.
So that's how I got the name, the Bars and Bridges, basically, because the split happens because of the natural wash.
There's a wash that runs right through this site, which,
correct,
from what I understand, makes for one of the more complicated types of builds out here. A lot of people avoid lots like this. They don't want to build.
Yeah, no developer was interested in this lot. This was a virgin land for over 60 years.
60 years.
Yes, nobody wanted to touch it.
This will be the driveway then that takes you
so
up.
This is the driveway that you're walking down. There's also construction access to the right side.
Okay.
So the driveway ends at the edge of the garage wall, if you will. That garage wall is going to come out and become the driveway where I am right now.
Okay.
And as you go down, you're basically leveling up to the horizon. If you experience that.
Yep.
By second floor, I'm purposely blocking your view to the horizon.
Okay.
So as you come down the car, you don't see the mountains until you open the garage door.
Wow.
So that's when there's a window, and that window is set to the perfect height.
Which this concrete wall here marks the back side of your garage.
The back side of the garage, but then there is a window on the outer skin, you know?
Yeah.
And that window is set to as though you're sitting in the car, and that's when you see it. I actually grew up in a very diverse background. You know, I grew up in India. I'm born and brought up in Ahmedabad, where Corbusier, Louis Kahn, Charles Andre Eames, I grew up in that background, you know, like where masters and they're trained architects, like my mentor, Anant Raje, and B.V. Doshi, who is a Pritzker laureate who just got it. They all came from this amazing masters who built Chandigarh and museums and houses. And so I never realized how I was growing up surrounded in the shadows of these buildings, right? I mean, I was playing in the shadows, you know? So what happens at this part, right? When you come out of the car, you're confronted with a canopy, which is going to be on the second floor right here. Mm-hmm. This entire wall down there is a sacrificial wall. I call it the retaining wall, which is 14 inches thick. It's going to hold all the mountain against it. You see how the wash is coming down, right?
Yes.
So the water technically cascades down, right? And so the concept here is that you cascade down with the steps. So you walk down along with the water, and you find your front door.
So the front door is down here.
The front door is way down there because see, look at all these houses that are looking down onto you. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to hide the front entrance as much as possible and kind of tuck it in. So you kind of find it on the way as though you're going to the water.
Yes.
You see?
I like that. And so for anyone who's watching who's maybe not familiar with these wash lots and why there's so many washes scattered about these mountains and hills around the desert,
Right.
the purpose of this wash or the function of this wash is to funnel water
Yes.
from the mountain
And
all
these
the
are-
way down.
Absolutely, and these are natural washes coming down the road, right? So this is what my first experience was when I first came to this virgin land. Like, I want to go touch the water, you know? So this is why we choreograph the whole entry as though you're going to the wash, but in the process you find the front door. You know, is like about the entry experience. How do you go? And then this wall is aligned on a certain time of the year. It's a equinox solstice kind of wall. So this solstice, when the sun goes out there, it exactly touches this wall on a particular time on the solstice day, and then it ignores the other wall, so you get this very stark contrast between the two walls, and then you split it right there. Architecture is a phenomenal field to be in. It takes a lot though. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication and perseverance to get to a point where you say, all right, now I have my own gig.
Yeah.
You know? And you have to have tremendous amount of patience. And if you ask me, can I do it all over again? Sure. Because it's so rewarding as an architect.
So this is cool here. So this shows us exactly how these board form concrete walls are built, right?
Yes.
The forms are still on. So this
Correct.
is the stage just prior to when it looks like this.
Correct, exactly. So what we did was we took normal 2x4s that you use for construction, right? And then we sandblasted them very lightly.
Okay.
Once you sandblast it, it brings the grains out,
Yeah.
right? And you can see as though it is. So there are a few things happening with the concrete. It's the concrete was colored as a mean color of the soil. Okay, so it feels like it has always belonged here, and it rose from the ground up, right? And then when you make it a wood texture, it softens it even further, and then you break it down into 4 inches, so even it reduces the scale of it, and it doesn't intimidate you if you're standing next to it. It's just the 4 inch that you perceive, right?
So much thought that even goes into that detail.
You can see how the wash is coming down and how the stairs are cascading down at the same time. And so what happens is the stairs probably end somewhere here in line with this.
Okay.
And it gives you this water feature like a reflecting pool, if you will. And you kind of tiptoe. There are going to be like pavers in the water. So you kind of walk through and you come to a bigger, larger pad on which you're sitting. Standing, and you ring the doorbell. Now the doorbell is a whole different story. I'm very particular about where you place the doorbell.
Okay.
Right? It's a calling. It's a calling in double sense, right? You're calling someone to open the door, but it's also a calling for something larger. So what I have is a bird feeder that hangs down. It's a calling for the birds because there is water. And there's a doorbell right there on that post, which is hung from the top down. High school, my dad was asking, or everybody's asking, what do you want to be? You know, I had no idea that I wanted to be an architect because I was creative in the sense that we didn't have toys to play with. You know, sophisticated Toys R Us wasn't there. So we used to build our own toys, like glider planes and models and all of that. I was always doing that and cutting wood from my own garden. You know, I would dry these logs in the terrace for a year, cut them exactly, and make the wings out of that, and my gliders will fly. You know, so that's the way I grew up. And so when my dad said, "Hey, his friend's daughter was going for architecture," he said, "Do you want to consider architecture?" And I was like, "What is that?" It certainly resonated with me, like deep down. Like, you know, sometimes you hear something. And like, oh my God, what is that? Like, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then he explained to me what it is. And he had all these friends who were contractors and some were architects. And he kind of introduced me to them. And that's how I met my mentor, you know. And then that's it. That was the end of it. He sealed the deal for me. You see how there is an inflection point right there?
Yeah.
Right? And these two walls are changing angles. That wall is aligned on a solstice. So winter and summer solstice angle is on that.
On this wall here?
On that wall, yes.
Okay.
And so when the sun comes around like noonish, it just washes that wall and it misses this one. And that's where I took an opportunity to create this slot. That slot is where there's going to be some kind of colored glass in it, that's going to glow from inside. But it's also going to bring in the west sun into the wall. Inside, there is another window up there that brings in light. Plus, we're going to drill some holes in it. These holes are angled on particular days of the year. So you'll see daggers of light on a particular day shooting in with colored light in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it also makes a whole water and hole, which allows probably bird to get in there, roost in there, So I like to always create living membranes versus demising walls. Like this is human and that's nature.
Yeah.
I don't try to do that. I like to be more inclusive. The idea is that there is going to be a linear water feature, like a waterfall here, right?
Yep.
So water being the soft material, but when it goes on the wash and over the stones, it rounds it off.
Yeah.
That phenomena I'm interested in, because the more water flows, the more rounded off the thing happens, right? So the toughest material, the stone, gives way to the softest, right?
That's crazy. So this water is falling out of, there's a water feature, that's built up behind this that
Yes.
flows over here
Yeah,
into this entire courtyard area.
Correct. So I need that white noise. Because I'm close to the fire station, I'm close to the Tatum, I'm close to this road. And I want to create this entry experience where the sound reverberates and masks all that.
Yeah.
So this water is going to do the same, exactly.
I see it now.
Yeah.
The landscape here is unique. When you moved from India to Singapore to Arizona,
Yes.
when you moved out here initially, were you excited about the challenge of working with the desert? Was working with the desert something unusual and something unlike you had seen or experienced before?
So this weather actually mimics my hometown a lot.
Okay.
So if you look at the latitude, I'm few degrees north of where I grew up. And as you go northward, the temperatures become more and more arid, Okay. So I grew up in an arid climate myself in the desert, and the rainfall is very scarce, right? And when you are building in the desert, I kind of understood the desert from Khan, where he was building. Like my mentor used to say that in the desert, the sunlight should be like gold dust. You just sparingly use it, Yeah, and very little is enough. You don't need too much sunlight. You have to basically recede into the shade in the desert.
Just like we're doing right now.
Just like what we're doing right now, right? So then my whole quest about understanding the sun kind of started at I got to know this sun. And then I grew up with this sun worshipping culture. Indian civilization dates back 10,000 or more years. They've always been worshipping the sun. And that tells me what to do.
And what's interesting too is that you need to be mindful of what the sun is doing throughout the year.
Right.
It's in different places in the sky in the summer versus in the winter.
Right.
And I love how you've incorporated all these Easter eggs into what sounds like most of the houses that you've done, at least more recently.
Yes.
And so let's talk about that. That's something that we looked at today during our walkthrough.
Right.
What excites you about creating these moments for the future occupants of the house, and what is so important about creating these moments like that, aligning the solstice and things like that?
So indirectly, you're reminded that there is sun out there. Most of the time what happens today in today's lifestyle, the modern lifestyle, it's not open to sky architecture, right? You're basically in this closed environment. You turn on your air conditioning and you forget that there is sun out there. You forget that you're on a spinning planet, And when you take a chance upon, when you're coming down, yes, these angles are there for the solstice and all that. Someday somebody will notice it, like, oh my God, there's something going on here, right? And then it also adds a whole different level to the piece of work of architecture, where you're celebrating these ideas about what the sun is doing. And if you look at all the passive architecture throughout the history, until the HVAC was invented, right? The sun was the largest former and informer of the architecture.
Yep.
Right? It gives
really was.
form. Therefore, there is so much diversity on the planet. You go to Middle East, you see different kind of work. You go to Japan, you see different work. You go to India, you see different work. All that diversity happened mainly because how the sun was shaping it.
Wow.
Along with the food, the dressing, the culture, music, everything was sort of integrated as part. And then the modernism came and it basically kind of dismantled it all. I'm sorry to say this, but nowadays you see all these HVAC buildings, they are the equalizer of all architecture. All architecture looks the same. And I am trying to work against that.
After you walk through the front door, you will be met with a spacious great room, a kitchen built right up against the board form concrete wall, and an elevator option as an alternative to the stairs.
So let's say if you are a guest who's invited for a party, right? Or a birthday party, whatever that might be, or pool party, right? You come from the upper level, you come from here and you just enter to the upper level. You don't need to come down to this more private space, right? You are up there, you enjoy the pool, you enjoy a drink or whatever, fireplace, everything is up there. So the whole upper floor is more of a hedonistic, I would say, that's a client requirement.
Yeah.
And it's about the entertainment value of the house.
Okay.
So, and that gives you so I always say that the upper level is more extroverted and the lower level is all introverted. It's all talking about that courtyard.
Another thing that's unique about what you're doing is you're not building these just modern white boxes you see today. This home is basically comprised of just concrete and steel. So let's talk about that. Why do you like working so much with concrete and steel versus just stick frame construction?
So that, it all goes back to the idea of sense of belonging, sense of shelter. You know, like the man created the cave, right? And from the cave, that's the first piece of architecture that happened, right? There's a sense of shelter, right? And so some of the materials that are time tested over time, like, and they give you a sense of belonging that this is not going to move, right? Yeah. It's firmly rooted and none of these natural calamities are going to take away this from me. That's one part. The second part is it has a very long life cycle cost. Once I build that wall, I know it's not going to move from there for about 100 or 200 years, right? And to me, that is more sustainable than building houses that are temporary, So I think that, and steel in this dry weather, nothing happens to it. There's low maintenance. I don't have to ever touch this wall again.
Yeah.
Right? Once it's done forever. It's going to stay there for at least until somebody comes and destroys it. That's a different story. But it's not going to just fall apart on its own. So check this out, Scott. We created a 3D abstract plan of this house. And so this is where you'll see that there is a west wing here. There's an east wing on this side. So west bar, east bar, the wash kind of cuts through. That's the party diagram of the house. And we made our little company logo in there. And what this is, I always jokingly say that this is for the archaeologists to discover. This is my pantry, which is directly accessible to the kitchen, right? And guess what? This window right here is where you are going to do your dishes.
Not bad.
Looking at all that beautiful view, there is traffic going on. There is dynamism in this little window, right?
This is a pantry which is built out with all the appliances you need.
So it will have
back here.
Absolutely. So the dumbwaiter brings the groceries down. There's a refrigerator. There is ovens out here. There's microwave. There is dishwashers. Everything. This is like the butler kitchen.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is the dirty kitchen. In my culture, they say that elephant has teeth that it shows off, but it uses something else to chew. So this is where the chewing is happening. Yeah. The slab will come and completely go over this wall and it will turn down. and then the entire living room area is going to be glass floor. I'll tell you something, it's cheaper for me to put the glass than to put concrete and deck and material on top of that.
Really?
Because glass comes directly factory manufactured.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. I don't have to do anything. I just pick it up and put it up there and silicone it and you're done.
And what's the process of, I mean, you obviously can't order just your regular old glass that you get for windows and doors.
Yes.
It has to be engineered to be able to carry a pretty big load of furniture and people.
Correct. So this glass is a very specialty glass. I have a glass engineer who specified all of that. So it's, first of all, it's anti-slip. So you're not going to slip on it, right?
Yeah.
Plus there are joints that actually give you traction as you walk on it. So these glass panels are smaller. So you just put them in that. Then it is triple laminated with PVB interlayers in it, right? And then what happens is it gets to almost 1.5 inches thick.
Wow.
And it's tempered. So if, let's say you drop something on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The glass will just shatter like your windscreen. It's not going to fall through.
Yeah.
Right? So the PVB interlayers will protect you from falling through the glass.
That is fascinating.
So it's all engineering, you know, it's all beautiful. I love the technicality, the tectonics of it, and to dial it down to that level of technology today that is available in the 21st century. Yet, how can I use it for the poetics of it?
You never see that. And in case anyone watching is thrown off, these two big beams sitting on top of the living room are not staying here.
No. These are temporarily kept there because we wanted to make this joint right there. That joint is called the full penetration weld.
Okay.
It gets inspected through x-rays and all of that.
So this one right here is left close for the inspector to take a look at.
Yes.
And you prop
and
it up
then
on
this beam is going to get lifted off with a huge crane. They'll mount it right there. They'll lift it and it will go on that square column at the end of that wall. Then on this wide flange column right here, there's going to be another column right here which is about to get mounted, and then it will come and anchor into that base plate, into that wall.
Yeah.
So this, I call it the transfer beam. It's a transfer beam in structural language that takes the load of the second floor and it straddles the load across like a bridge.
Yeah.
Right? It straddles the load across the wash.
Okay.
Right? It allows me to then minimize the span on the upper level so that my columns on the top are smaller, not huge.
And keep this whole lower level open.
It keeps the whole lower open. So I think architect is a responsible artist. He is always an artist, but he's also building responsibly, right? So yes, I have to meet the pragmatics and the client needs and certain requirements. I have to, of course, make it all work. But then there is a moment where you need to transcend all that.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I'm not interested in just doing three-dimensional objects. You're interested in creating something which is beyond the third dimension, you know? So then that's where the right brain kicks in. That's where the artist in you says, what can you do special here, like instill architecture in it? Because architecture has no presence. It has no presence. What has presence is the work of architecture. You see?
Yeah.
You see the difference? It's like, I'm more than just this body. You're more than this body, right? So architecture...
You have a soul.
You have a soul. You have something beyond that cannot be touched. You can't touch my soul. So that intangible, so architecture to me comes from the metaphysical world into the physical. At the dining area, I'm purposely blocking the view so that your view is more to the courtyard.
Okay.
Then you're part of the courtyard. So these two ginormous or monolithic concrete walls, if I will, are the two shoulders. They're like anthropomorphic shapes, if you will. They're like two humans standing across the wash in dialogue, right?
I see that.
So how do you have a dialogue? It's like you extend the arms out and you kind of touch each other, right? Just like that. Imagine that you are one of these walls.
Yeah.
And the pool is going to go in this here, so it will hang like a parallel bar.
So the pool is going to be on the second level.
On the second level.
Above the living room.
Above the living room. You have a natural flow of the water. and then there is a man-made swimmable flow this way. So you can swim across the wash in the pool and do your laps.
Gosh.
Every day.
And the bottom of the pool?
The bottom of the pool has acrylic bottom to it because we did not want the pool to kind of cast shadow down there. We wanted it to bring the light in. And that's all north light, right?
So now we're walking through the dining room and then around to what will be the outdoor patio right off the living room, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes. We've temporarily filled the wash here so that we have construction access to the guest house. And then there are pedestrian bridges, 2 of them, along the wash, so you can cross the wash and go to the guest house, or you can cross the wash from the primary bedroom. You can cross it and you come to the gym. So we converted one of the bedrooms as a gym.
Okay.
With spa and steam and all of that, right? And so what that does, you might wonder, why isn't the gym next to the primary bedroom? But the idea is that you're going there for a workout, you know? And when you come out and you cross this bridge, it activates the courtyard. You are out there in the sun, you're enjoying the nature, you're connected to the mountains, and it becomes an experience of just walking across the wash all the time, right?
Waking you up, getting you charged for your workout.
That's right, yes. And then think about this courtyard. When you're out here, there's a fireplace, like as though you're camping by the wash. I love camping. So there's a fireplace there are benches that are going to cantilever into the wash, then you sit, because we have all this leftover steel. So we're going to use that to create these moments where you can sit and read a book.
Very cool.
There are trees out there, nicely landscaped. So it's a whole ecosystem that you're creating within, like a microclimate, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? There's a water feature. There are boulders out here, so we'll make it as natural as we found it.
It's cool that most people look at this wash as a big deterrent and say, oh, I don't even want to build there. And instead you decide, not only am I going to build there, but I'm embracing the wash.
Yes.
In every aspect of this build. It's
right.
The wash is kind of what drove every decision here.
I'm a big hiker. I like to hike during this time of the year, or I go to Europe sometimes to hike. We did a Mont Blanc, like 65, 70 miles for 6 continuous days. And it just basically refreshes your mind, you know, like, so when I'm doing these hikes, sometimes you notice that there's a flowing wash or a creek, right? And there's a tree that is fallen. And then you go across that tree, you kind of tiptoe on it, make sure you're balanced correctly. That experience sort of stays with me. It's a very dramatic experience. The steel beams, it's like the wood is the steel out here.
Oh,
so these are the beams that you actually cross over, and that's why the glass floor actually helps you to get that experience of walking on that fallen tree, right?
Oh my God.
A lot of thought that happens behind everything we do here. And then you cross the wash, you're now on and so the patio of the primary suite. So this whole thing is a primary suite that floats above the landscape.
Okay.
And the idea was always, because I'm influenced by this Australian architect, amazing architect, Glenn Murcutt. And he always builds his houses on stilts. So he says, touch the Mother Earth lightly, you know. So what we are trying to do here is to keep this whole thing floating, so it allows the natural landscape to kind of go underneath it, allowing the natural water course, the natural flora, fauna, you know, like going through. So when you're in the primary bedroom, you might someday see a bunny rabbit.
That's what's amazing though, and I don't know if this will pick up on camera or not, but if your bed's here and this whole section is glass and you kind of dig it up a little bit, there's enough room underneath this structure for like a rabbit to run underneath your bedroom, and you just catch that when you wake up in the morning.
Absolutely. And so this is where my multi-slider door is, from this wall, this column to that column.
Okay.
So you can open that up all the way. It stacks at the bathroom out there.
So this whole section here is all the primary bedroom patio.
Is the patio.
And then the bedroom, bathroom, closet is all up in here.
So this is conditioned space, that is non-conditioned space.
Okay.
And this is my entire long bathroom space all the way. You can open the door and go out to the patio from the bathroom as well. So the shower happens between these two beams. And it's a walk-through shower, so you're gonna walk through, right? So when you are here, you open the door, you're going to step on glass, which is anti-slip.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So the whole bottom of the shower is glass?
No, just this portion.
Oh, just this section.
Yes.
Okay, then you have tile and drain over here.
Correct.
Got
the
it.
tile
Okay.
and drain here.
Okay.
And then there is my signature glass bench is going to be here.
Okay.
And that glass bench will have a little window outside, so the west sun is going to come in and it's going to glow the bench.
So the bench, just to give a visual here,
Yes.
so it'll come up like this,
Correct.
and like this.
Right.
And then it'll be backlit here.
Right.
And
That's
so,
right. So there's a wall right here for privacy. And then upper level is a window again to look at that mountain.
okay.
So when you're showering, you're looking at the mountain, but at the same time, you have the privacy from those homes.
Also, on the lower level of this home, you will find 3 additional bedrooms. And I thought this was cool. On the kids' bedroom patio, Amit had the concrete formed in such a way that slopes out towards the sky, which makes the walled-in patio feel a lot less claustrophobic.
Beautiful wall that you can experience next to it.
It really is. See, I keep being drawn to just touch it.
Yes.
It's so funny. Like that's not the case if this was just like a stucco wall, as you see nowadays,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this gives you a sense of permanence, right?
Yes.
It is like, it's here. And you know that there's a sense of shelter.
Yep.
It's not going to go anywhere. None of the hurricanes are going to tear it down.
Nope.
So that's how I would like to build, because it gives you that sense of shelter and permanence, you know, and then you have the sense of belonging.
But it's something so fascinating about it that because of the texture, it just like, it feels really warm. Like it doesn't, some people might think, oh, a concrete wall in your face off of your little bench that you're contemplating on might feel a little intense or like a little much, but that board form effect really does warm it up, and it makes it just feel
Let's
cozy.
look at the color. You see this?
Yeah.
It's integrally colored. It almost feels like it's wood, but it's not.
It really does.
Right?
On the far west side of the property, Amit is also building a guest house that is entirely floating on stilts. It will have everything a guest house needs, including a living room, dining room, a kitchenette, a big wraparound balcony, and some more glass floors.
So this is my site office where we hold meetings with the subcontractors. We show them all these drawings, because all the drawings that we've created, they're all pinned up right here for them to look at, be inspired. And the effect that it has on these subs is I'm always here. Anytime they want anything, they get a question or they're doubtful about something, they just come and say, hey, Amit, what do you think about what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then we take some of these models sometimes, right? For instance, this one, like the entry wall that we saw. Then I'll tell them like, hey guys, look, this is how the stair is coming down. This is where that window is. This is how we're going to drill the holes in it. And then this is what's going to give, and they get excited about that, right? I mean, this is what we do here. We print 3D.
You have a 3D printer?
Yeah, we have a 3D printer right here. Yeah. So we print this 3D, and it goes down to even a small detail as such, right? This little detail, you might wonder, what is this? But this is where the glass is going to come and attach to a railing at the end of it. And then this one gives me my lateral movement as I force things, So there is a code that is required. So this is where the pragmatics are. Or this, for instance, they get excited about looking at this. Like this is the end wall, and this comes to the road. This is the flag of the house.
There's so many details here that are just so custom, and that I'm sure many of these subs have never done before. Anything exactly like that. So this is so helpful to them.
Yeah. No, the other way, we were interviewing one of the concrete subs.
Oh,
Like, hey, what do you think about this? And he was so, literally tears dropped from his eyes. He was so passionate about doing, like, I go extra mile to do this project. We make sure everything is correct. Everything is, because we are committing to this wall. It's not like a plywood wall that you're building that you can tear out and redo it. Once you pour that concrete, it's there.
That's it.
But I think if I can leave anything behind, is probably the passion. No matter what you do in life, I think you've got to be passionate. Like, I'm the only architect in my family. My dad was a very passionate engineer. So I picked up the passion from him. Then I became sort of a passionate architect. And maybe my daughter is picking up something from me as a passionate architect. She doesn't want to be an architect. She wants to save the planet. Right now we are butchering this planet. And I think that's the legacy I want to leave behind, is like, take care of this Mother Earth. We got to take care of this Mother Earth. Architecturally, I don't know if I'm doing something exquisite, in terms of like leaving behind a legacy. I'm not Corbusier or Frank Lloyd Wright or Kahn, but I'd say if at all I learned something by living whatever life I have lived, is you have to live passionately. You have to burn the candle from both ends. My mentor's mentor, Louis Kahn, he said that it did not take finest of the inks to write the Magna Carta, right? Just ink and paper.
Yeah.
But what's written is more important. You see, not all writings are literature. So not all singing becomes music. So not all buildings are architecture either, right? So when you are doing that, you have to have that sense like, okay, you're creating something. I'm interested in the literature part of architecture, not just the building. You're passionate about, so passionate that you forget yourself. Then only the passion remains.